My dear friends, in this journey of life, we meet all kinds of people. Some inspire us, some encourage us, and some challenge us. But there are also those who drain us, the ones who spread negativity, jealousy, anger, and bitterness. We call them toxic people. The question is not whether they exist, because they do. The question is, how do we deal with them without losing our peace, our balance, and our connection with God? Remember, just like we cannot control the weather, we cannot control people's behavior. But we can always control our response. And when our response is guided by wisdom, patience, and faith in God, even the most toxic person cannot steal our inner peace. Protect your inner peace. My dear friends, if there is one treasure in life that we must guard with all our strength, it is not our money, not our possessions, not even our reputation. It is our inner peace. Because once peace is lost, everything else feels heavy. Even the most beautiful house feels like a prison if the mind is restless. Even the sweetest success tastes bitter if the heart is disturbed. And very often, the greatest thieves of our peace are not strangers, but the people we meet daily. Some in our families, some in our workplaces, some even among our so-called friends. Have you noticed how a single sentence from a negative person can disturb your whole day? You may wake up in the morning feeling happy, full of energy, grateful to God for another day. And then someone walks into your life and says, "You will never be successful," or "Why do you always fail?" Or perhaps they just complain, criticize, and pour their frustration onto you. Suddenly your smile disappears. Suddenly your mind is filled with anger, irritation, or sadness. It's almost like someone took a needle and burst your balloon of happiness. This is why protecting our inner peace is so important. Because toxic people will always be there. Just as mosquitoes exist in the night, negativity exists in society. You cannot eliminate them completely, but you can protect yourself. And how do we protect ourselves? By learning the art of not allowing their poison to enter our mind. Think of it this way: when you walk outside in the rain, you cannot stop the rain, but you can carry an umbrella. That umbrella does not stop the clouds from pouring, but it stops the water from soaking you. In the same way, toxic people will rain negativity, but your umbrella is your wisdom, your patience, and your connection with God. With that umbrella, you remain dry and safe. Let me share a simple example. Imagine you are driving your car peacefully, enjoying your music, thanking God for the day, when suddenly another driver cuts in front of you and yells. Now you have two choices. One, to react with anger, shout back, and let your blood pressure rise. Two, to smile, stay calm, and remind yourself, their anger is theirs, not mine. I will not allow their storm to enter my car. Which choice protects your peace? The second one. You cannot control how the driver behaves, but you can always control whether you let him drive your emotions. This is the art of protecting peace, letting negativity stop at your ears, not enter your heart. Toxic people will speak harsh words, but words are only sounds. When you give those sounds meaning and let them echo inside your mind, they hurt you. If you let them pass, they vanish like air. Just like a mirror reflects without absorbing, we must reflect negativity back without absorbing it into our hearts. Many times, people ask me, "But how can I stay calm when someone is constantly negative?" The answer is practice. Just like we train our muscles in the gym, we must train our minds in daily life. When someone criticizes you unfairly, instead of reacting, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is their problem, not mine. I will not allow them to disturb my peace. At first it feels difficult, but slowly You realize that your peace is too valuable to be wasted on their anger. Another simple practice is gratitude. When you focus on the blessings God has given you, the noise of toxic people becomes small. For example, if someone says, "You are worthless," instead of letting that pierce your heart, look at your life. You are breathing, you are alive, you have people who love you, you have talents, you have opportunities. Isn't that enough proof that God values you? Why then should one bitter comment steal the joy that God Himself has gifted you? Gratitude is like a shield that protects peace. My friends, we must also remember peace does not come from outside, it comes from within. If your mind is like a calm lake, even if people throw stones, the ripples will fade quickly. But if your mind is already restless, even a small pebble will create chaos. That is why meditation, prayer, and time with God are so powerful. They make your inner lake calm and strong, so that when toxic people come, you remain steady like a mountain, untouched, unshaken. Let me conclude this point with one more story. A monk was once insulted badly by a man in the marketplace. Everyone expected the monk to respond, but he simply smiled and walked away. Later, his disciple asked, "Master, why did you not reply to the insults?" The monk said, "If someone tries to give you a gift and you refuse to accept it, where does the gift go? It stays with the giver." In the same way, if someone throws insults and I do not accept them, those insults remain with them, not me. What wisdom, what peace. So, my friends, learn this lesson. Your peace is your greatest wealth. Protect it like a treasure. Toxic people will always try to disturb you. But remember, no one can enter your mind without your permission. Guard that permission. Smile when they frown. Stay calm when they shout. And above all, keep your heart connected to God, for He is the eternal source of peace. Respond, don't react. My dear friends, one of the greatest powers a human being has is the power of choice. The choice between reacting blindly and responding wisely. The truth is, we cannot control how people behave with us, but we can always control how we behave with them. The problem is, most of us live in reaction, not in response. Someone insults us, we immediately insult them back. Someone raises their voice, we raise ours louder. Someone throws anger, we throw anger multiplied. And in this cycle of reaction, who suffers the most? Not them, but us. Our peace is lost, our energy is drained, and our mind becomes restless. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine a man walking down the street carrying a cup of tea. If someone bumps into him, what spills out? Tea. Not coffee, not juice, only tea, because that is what the cup contains. In the same way, when life bumps into us, when people provoke us, test us, or irritate us, whatever is inside us spills out. If our cup is full of anger, anger spills. If our cup is full of peace, peace spills. Reaction means we spill out whatever comes without thinking. Response means we pause, we choose, and we let God guide what spills out. Reaction is fast, but response is wise. Reaction comes from the ego, but response comes from awareness. Reaction burns relationships, but response saves them. If someone shouts at you and you shout back, the fire becomes bigger. But if someone shouts and you stay calm, the fire dies slowly. Isn't that true? Think of how many family arguments start small but become big because of reaction. A husband comes home tired. He snaps at his wife. She reacts with anger. He reacts louder, and within minutes, the house becomes a battlefield. But imagine the same situation with response. The husband comes home angry, but the wife smiles and says, "You seem stressed today, let's talk after you rest." Immediately, the energy shifts. The storm is calmed with kindness. This is the difference between reaction and response. One multiplies negativity, the other transforms it. Now, let's be honest. Staying calm in the heat of the moment is not easy. When someone presses our buttons, our mind screams, "Say something back. Show them you are strong." But real strength is not in shouting louder. Real strength is in staying silent when silence is wiser. Anyone can react, but it takes courage to respond. And this courage comes from practice, patience, and spiritual grounding. Let me share a story. Once, a man insulted a saint in public, calling him names and trying to provoke him. The saint simply smiled and asked, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to take it, who does it belong to?" The man said, "Of course it stays with the giver." The saint replied, "Exactly. You try to give me anger, but I refuse to take it. So it stays with you." What wisdom! That is response, not reaction. In our daily lives, response can be practiced in small situations. For example, at work, your colleague may take credit for your idea. The reactive mind wants to shout, argue, and prove them wrong in front of everyone. But the responsive mind says, "Let me handle this calmly. Let me present my contribution with dignity, and let me trust that truth shines eventually." Which one keeps your respect intact? The response? Even in traffic, when someone cuts in front of us, the first impulse is to honk, shout, or curse. But what does that achieve? Only more stress. Instead, if we breathe, let it go, and remind ourselves, maybe they are in a hurry for something urgent. Maybe God is teaching me patience. Then the same situation becomes a training ground for wisdom. You see, life is a constant test. Toxic people, difficult situations, and unexpected challenges. All of them are opportunities to choose response over reaction. Every time we respond instead of react, we grow stronger. We build self-control, we protect our peace, and we rise higher. Reaction is like fire, quick, destructive, and uncontrolled. Response is like water, calm, soothing, and life-giving. Fire burns bridges, but water builds them. Fire destroys trust, but water nurtures it. When you live a life of response, you create harmony around you. People begin to respect you, not because you are loud, but because you are steady. My dear friends, always remember, silence is not weakness, patience is not cowardice, and calmness is not ignorance. These are strengths that come from a mind connected with God. Just as a tree stands firm in storms because its roots are deep, you too can remain calm in provocations if your roots are deep in wisdom. So the next time someone provokes you, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, do I want to react and lose my peace? Or do I want to respond and keep my dignity? That small pause is the bridge between reaction and response. And in that pause, God gives us the wisdom to choose peace. In the end, life is not about how loud we shouted, but about how wisely we handled situations. Toxic people will test us, but our greatness is shown not in reacting to them, but in responding with patience, compassion, and calmness. Because when you respond, you are in control. When you react, you give away your control to them. So, my friends, let us train ourselves every day to respond, not react. Let our words be measured, our actions thoughtful, and our minds anchored in peace. That is how we deal with negativity without losing our dignity. That is how we rise above the noise of the world, guided by God's wisdom. Set healthy boundaries. My dear friends, many people misunderstand the meaning of love, kindness, and compassion. They think being kind means tolerating everything. They think being spiritual means never saying no. They think loving someone means allowing them to walk over us again and again. But the truth is, real kindness is not weakness, and real love is not slavery. To truly love others And to truly respect ourselves, we must learn the art of setting healthy boundaries. A boundary is not a wall, it is a line of respect. It is like the fence around a garden. The fence does not stop the flowers from blooming, nor does it stop the fragrance from spreading. It simply protects the garden from being destroyed by animals or careless footsteps. In the same way, healthy boundaries do not stop us from loving others, they simply protect our peace, our energy, and our dignity from being destroyed by toxic behavior. Think of how many times people misuse our goodness because we do not set boundaries. A friend calls us at midnight with problems. Not once, not twice, but every single night. A colleague keeps shifting their work onto us because we never say no. A relative keeps criticizing us and we keep tolerating it silently. Slowly, our energy is drained, our peace is stolen, and we begin to resent the very people we once cared for. Why? Because we allowed their behavior to cross into our inner garden without a fence. Setting boundaries is not about anger, it is about clarity. It is not about rejecting people, it is about teaching them how to treat us. Just as traffic lights guide vehicles to prevent accidents, boundaries guide relationships to prevent emotional collisions. Without them, there is chaos. With them, there is harmony. Let me share a simple story. Once, a young man kept visiting a wise teacher. Every day he would pour out his problems for hours while the teacher listened patiently. One day, the teacher finally said, "My dear, I care for you, but I cannot give you all my time every day. You must learn to solve some of your problems on your own." At first, the young man was hurt. But later, he realized that the teacher's boundary forced him to grow stronger. The boundary was not rejection, it was guidance. In daily life, boundaries can be practiced in gentle but firm ways. For example, if someone always gossips when they meet you, you can respond by saying, "I prefer not to talk about others, let's discuss something more positive." That is a boundary. If a colleague keeps dumping extra work on you, you can politely say, "I have my own responsibilities to complete. I cannot take more right now." That is a boundary. If a relative keeps insulting you, you can firmly say, "I respect you, but I will not allow disrespectful words toward me." That is a boundary. Many people fear setting boundaries because they think it will make them appear rude or selfish. But in truth, boundaries are not selfish, they are self-care. Imagine if you have a pot of water. If you keep pouring water to everyone without refilling, eventually your pot becomes empty. Then you cannot help yourself, nor anyone else. Boundaries are like the lid that protects your pot so that you can refill, recharge, and give with love again. Without them, you burn out. With them, you shine stronger. Also, boundaries do not mean cutting people off. They mean maintaining the right distance. Just as the sun gives us warmth from millions of kilometers away without burning us, we too can love people from the right distance without letting them hurt us. Love does not always mean closeness. Sometimes love means space. Now, let us be clear, setting boundaries requires courage. Toxic people do not like boundaries because they lose control over you. They may call you rude, arrogant, or selfish when you finally say no. But remember, you are not responsible for how they feel. You are responsible for protecting your peace. And protecting your peace is protecting the gift of God within you. Imagine a temple. Everyone is welcome to come pray and feel peace. But can anyone enter with shoes? No. Can anyone enter and damage the holy place? No. Why? Because rules protect the sanctity of the temple. In the same way, your heart is a temple. You can welcome people with love, but you must not allow them to bring in disrespect, toxicity, or abuse. Boundaries are the rules that protect the sanctity of your temple. Let me give you another daily life image. Think of your phone. Do you give your password to everyone? Of course not. You protect it because your phone carries private, valuable information. In the same way, why do we give unlimited access to our emotions, time, and energy to people who only drain us? Boundaries are your emotional password. Without them, anyone can misuse your heart. My friends, setting healthy boundaries does not make you less loving. In fact, it makes your love purer. Because when you say no to negativity, you say yes to peace. When you say no to disrespect, you say yes to dignity. When you say no to exploitation, you say yes to self-respect. And when you are at peace, you can give others the best version of yourself, not the exhausted version. So, never feel guilty for setting boundaries. People who truly love and respect you will honor them. Those who misuse you will resist them. But in both cases, you win because you have protected your inner garden. In the end, remember, boundaries are not about pushing people out, they are about keeping yourself whole. Boundaries are not about building walls, they are about building doors that you open wisely. Boundaries are not about hate, they are about balance. So protect your garden with a fence. Protect your heart with respect, and protect your life with clarity. Because when you set healthy boundaries, you not only save yourself, you also teach others the true meaning of love and respect. See them with compassion. My dear friends, when we meet people who hurt us, insult us, or constantly spread negativity, our natural instinct is to feel anger or resentment. We say to ourselves, why are they like this? Why can't they change? Why do they always make life difficult? And slowly, we begin to carry bitterness in our own heart. But there is a secret wisdom, a softer and higher way to deal with such people, to see them not with hatred, but with compassion. Behind every toxic action is an untold story. Behind every harsh word is hidden pain. Behind every angry face is a wound that has not healed. If we only look at their behavior, we will dislike them. But if we try to understand their pain, we will feel compassion. And compassion does not mean we accept their behavior. It simply means we do not allow their behavior to make us bitter. Think of it this way. If you see someone drowning, you do not shout at them for splashing water. You understand that they are struggling. Toxic people are drowning in their own insecurities, jealousy, and fears. Their negativity is a cry for help, even if they do not know it. When we see them with compassion, we rise above reacting with anger and instead keep our peace. Let me share a small example. Imagine a colleague at work who constantly criticizes you. Every idea you share, they say something negative. Every success you achieve, they downplay it. At first, you may feel irritated and think, why are they against me? But if you look deeper, you may realize that person is deeply insecure. Perhaps they feel unnoticed. Perhaps they are carrying struggles from home. Perhaps they fear being replaced. Their criticism is not truly about you. It is about their own wound. When you see it this way, instead of responding with anger, you can say to yourself, poor soul, may they find peace. That shift is compassion. Compassion is not weakness, it is strength. It takes strength to not mirror toxicity, to not become what others are. Anyone can hate back, but it takes courage to look at someone's darkness and still pray for their light. Think of a child throwing a tantrum. The child screams, shouts, maybe even throws things. Does the mother get offended? No, she understands that the child is too small to handle emotions. She remains calm and guides the child patiently. In the same way, many toxic people are like grown children. unable to handle their own emotions. If we see them through the eyes of compassion, we stop taking their words so personally. Another example, imagine someone walking on the street carrying a heavy bag of garbage. Suddenly, they drop some of that garbage on you. Naturally, you feel dirty, but you also understand the garbage was theirs. Toxic people carry emotional garbage. When they insult, criticize, or spread negativity, they are simply dropping their garbage on others. Instead of holding on to it, drop it. Say to yourself, this is their garbage, not mine. That is compassion in action. Now, compassion does not mean allowing them to keep hurting you. It does not mean staying silent when boundaries are crossed. It simply means, even when you protect yourself, you do not poison your heart with hatred. You keep your soul clean. You say no firmly, but without burning in anger inside. You distance yourself when needed, but you do not curse them in your mind. You wish them healing. Because when you hold compassion, you remain free. Let me tell you a short story. A monk once saw a scorpion drowning in the river. He picked it up to save it, but the scorpion stung him. His hand shook, and the scorpion fell back into the water. Again, the monk lifted it up, and again it stung him. A man watching nearby said, "Why do you keep helping when it keeps hurting you?" The monk replied, "Because it is the nature of the scorpion to sting, but it is my nature to help. Why should I let its nature change mine?" This is compassion, to act from your higher nature, not react to someone else's lower nature. My dear friends, when we look at toxic people through the eyes of compassion, we stop asking, why are they like this? And instead we ask, what pain are they carrying that makes them like this? This shift changes everything. Hatred becomes understanding. Anger becomes patience. Frustration becomes forgiveness. And in this way, we keep our peace while also rising higher in love. It is easy to love people who are kind to us. But the real test of our strength is to love those who are difficult, not by tolerating their toxicity, but by wishing them healing in our heart. Compassion is seeing the soul behind the behavior. It is seeing the wound behind the weapon. It is seeing the pain behind the poison. So, next time you meet someone who irritates you, ask yourself, what must this person be going through to behave like this? That small question awakens compassion. And once compassion awakens, your anger melts. You may still keep boundaries, you may still say no, but inside, your heart remains light. In the end, my friends, compassion is not about changing others. It is about keeping ourselves pure. It is about refusing to let hatred enter our heart, no matter how much hatred others throw at us. When you live with compassion, you not only protect your peace, you also become an instrument of God's love in a world full of pain.